So, good afternoon, one and all. In yesterday's class, we had discussed about network software, and here these are the different topics in network software. Protocol hierarchies, design issues for the layers, connection-oriented and connectionless services, service primitives, the relationship of services to protocols. So these 5 are the subtopics of network software. In yesterday's class, we had discussed about protocol hierarchies. In today's class, we will discuss about various design issues for the layers. So issues means there may be problems or important topics we have to be discussed. So first issue, there are nearly 13 issues that are to be discussed in the construction of the layers in network architecture. First one is error detection and error correction. Error detection and error correction. So what is this issue? In a computer network, whatever the data the sender sends to the receiver has to receive the exact information what the sender sends. Okay, whatever the data the sender sends, the actual data, the exact data the receiver has to receive. But sometimes it doesn't happen. Why it doesn't happen? Because due to some electrical noises, maybe due to some random network signals, or maybe sometimes problems in the routers, sometimes the problems in the transmission lines, or maybe sometimes viruses in the software. So due to these problems, sometimes it is not happened that whatever the data that is sent by the sender is not reached to the receiver. So in that case, the reliability misses. Reliability means we can't trust. We can't trust the network because the data is losing there. So the error is the difference between what the data sent by the sender is different from the data received by the receiver. So we have to remove those problems. We have to solve this issue by correcting that error. So how to correct that error? If we only identify what is the error, if only we detect what is error, then only we can correct that error. So how we can detect errors? Error detection. There are 2 mechanisms for error checking or error detection. So to find out error, there are 2 techniques. First one is redundancy check, and the second one exact count encoding. These are the 2 techniques that are used to find out what is an error, where error occurs. Okay, first we look at the redundancy check. So once look at the figure here, this is sender and this is the receiver. Okay, so redundancy check means we are adding some group of bits at the end of the
ఫిగర్ కనిపించట్లేదు.
స్క్రీన్ కనిపించట్లేదమ్మా?
అంటే స్క్రీన్ కనిపిస్తుంది మేడం, ఫిగర్ కనిపించట్లేదు మేడం.
కనిపించట్లేదా?
ఆహా, లేదు మేడం.
Okay, madam.
Okay. So redundancy check is the first mechanism for error detection. Redundancy means adding some group of bits at the end of the data unit. Okay, redundancy means adding some group of bits at the end of the data what we have to send to the receiver. So here in the sender, look here, this is, for example, a 4-bit data, 1010. So for this data here in the sender, there is some function is generated here, and this is the redundancy check. So redundancy check is nothing but some group of bits. So this group of bits is connected at the end of the data. So look at here. So this is, sorry, here 1010 actually, 1010. So to that data, here we are connecting the redundancy check bits, that is 1 1. Okay, so notice here 1010, this is the data that is in the sender. So for that sender, we are connecting some group of bits. This group of bits is nothing but redundancy check. So this whole information is passed to the receiver. So here there is some checking function in that receiver. So this checking function compares this information from the sender, that is the data unit plus the redundancy check. So here this checking function checks this information, and if the function is valid, then it accepts. If the function is not valid, it rejects that one. So what is the meaning of the sender accepts the data? The sender accepts the data when there is no error. If the sender rejects the data, it means that there is an error. So in this way, error is detected in networks, computer networks. Okay, so by means of redundancy checking. So once again, I'm repeating, redundancy is nothing but adding group of bits at the end of the data unit. There is one checking function in the receiver. That receiver compares these data unit plus redundancy bits. If the function is valid, then there is no error and the receiver receives the data. If the function is not valid, the receiver rejects the data. It means there exists some error. So this is one method of error detection. Next, there is another method, that is exact count encoding. Exact count encoding means here there is some information in sender and there is some information in the receiver. Here this encoding technique compares the number of ones in the sender matches with the number of ones in the receiver. Okay, it is one type of encoding technique which compares the number of ones in the sender and the number of ones in the receiver. If both are same, if both the number of ones in sender and receiver matches, then there is no error. If it doesn't matches, it means there is an error. So it is another type of error detection technique. Okay, so we had identified errors. Then how can we rectify those errors? We can rectify the errors again by using two techniques. First technique is, when the error was found, then the receiver asks the sender to retransmit the data again. This is a very simple one. So if the receiver find that if the control function said that there is error, so the control function is not valid, the receiver rejects that data. So the receiver once again asks the sender to retransmit the data. Okay, for example, if there is a error due to some signaling problem in one path, then the sender has to change its path and again it has to retransmit the data. So this is one method of error correction. So what is error correction? The receiver asks the sender to again retransmit the same data. That is the first error correction technique. The second technique is, the receiver can use powerful error detecting codes. There are some powerful error detecting codes. These codes can extract the error-free data from the errored data. Initially, it receives some data that consisting of errors, but these powerful codes extract the error-free data from the errored data. So that is another method of error correction. So in this way, the issue of error can be eliminated in computer networks using these techniques. Next one, routing. So routing means there are so many connections, there are so many paths between the server and receiver. Okay, so there are several paths from the sender to the receiver. For example, if I want to communicate, I want to send information from London to Rome, London to Rome via Germany. Okay, so what happened here? For example, the routers in Germany were down due to some reason. At that time, the network doesn't stop to communicate, doesn't stop to send data from London to Rome. So it has to decide another communicating path. So it sends the data via Paris. Okay, via Paris. So the network that automatically takes a decision to use which path for communication is called routing. మరి ఎవరు మ్యూట్ చేయండి. సందేశ్ మ్యూట్ చేయి.
మ్యామ్ మీ వాయిస్ కూడా రావట్లేదు, మీరు మ్యూట్ లో పడ్డట్టున్నాను, చూడండి ఒకసారి.
ఓకే ఓకే, ఇది మ్యూట్ చేసుకున్నావా వంశీ? వంశీ okay. So once again I am repeating. So routing means if there are, since there are several paths from the server to the receiver, sometimes some of the paths may get damaged. So at that time the network has automatically take decision to use which path for communication. That is known as routing. Next, protocol layering. Protocol layering means each layer is meant for one specific function and they are arranged one on the another. So if any new technique, if any new feature is to be included in the network architecture, instead of changing all the layers, simply modifying one layer, it becomes a new design. Okay, because everything are in layers, everything are isolated from one another. Every layer has a specific function. So if you want to make any modification, if you want to make any new advancement, simply changing one layer, utilizing the services of the remaining layers is possible. So that is known as protocol layering. Next one, addressing or naming. Once again, I am saying the same thing. There are so many computers there on the network. Every layer needs a mechanism for identifying who is the sender and who is the receiver that are involved in a particular message. Because there are so many number of computers, that layer has to know from which sender it is getting the information, to which receiver it has to send the message. So the addressing and naming should be known to the layer. So the mechanism which provides the addressing and naming of the senders and receivers is known as addressing or naming. Next, internetworking. Internetworking means if the size of the message is too big, if the size of the message is too large, then that message is break into small pieces. So that is known, those are known as packets. Okay, so In the sender, those are divided into packets and it is transmitted through the physical medium and it reaches the receiver. After it reaches the receiver, these packets are again assembled and the large size message is reached to the top layer of the receiver. Okay, so this process of disassembling, transmitting, and then reassembling the message is known as internetworking. So it is used when the message size is big. Next one. Scalable. Scalable means, so the network architecture in Yeluru is small when compared to the network in Hyderabad. The network in Hyderabad is small when compared to capital city Delhi, and the network size, the size of the network architecture is of Delhi is small when compared to New York. So here the size of the network changes as the size of the area increases. So here at that time, this network does not stop its operations, does not stop its services. So it expands its services even though the size of the area increases. If it is a large city, then there are so many issues involved in expansion of the network. Like there is a traffic. Traffic is not vehicles traffic, it is communication traffic will be there. There will be shortage of telephone numbers. These all things come into issue. So at that time, here the computer network, what job అది ఏం జాబ్ చేస్తుందంటే it expands its network even though the size of the area is increased. If the size of the area is decreased, it contracts its services. If the size of the area increases, it expands its services. So it is scalable. It can expand as well as it contracts its services depending upon the usage, depending upon the area. That is known as scalable. Next, multiplexing. Multiplexing, it is actually statistical multiplexing. Simply we can call it as multiplexing. Multiplexing means the network provides different resources to its hosts, to its machines. There are so many machines in a network. The computers, the network provides different resources to its computers. For example, it provides bandwidth, it provides transmission lines, it provides resources like internet to its computers. But here, they are not shared on a fixed fraction. They are not shared equally to all networks. Some network requires large bandwidth, some networks require small bandwidth. So depending upon the demand, it shares its resources. It shares its resources depending upon the statistical demand. Okay, so that is known as statistical multiplexing. Instead of equally distributing to all networks, distribution of the resources depending on the demand is known as statistical multiplexing. Next thing is flow control. Flow control means sometimes the receiver is, the sender is very fastly sending the messages. It is a very fast sender and the receiver is a slow receiver. So what happens? There must be always there should be synchronization between the sender and the receiver. If the sender is fast and the receiver is slow, then what happened? The sender sends on the messages, the sender sends on the data, but the receiver is not able to receive the data. Okay, so at that situation, what happens? The receiver sends some feedback to the sender saying that, so I am having a slow network. Please send your data slowly. Like that, if the receiver sends some feedback to the sender about its current situation, that is known as flow control. Okay, the feedback provided by the receiver to the sender is known as flow control. Next one is congestion. So congestion means it is also somewhat like flow control only. Sometimes the problem in the network is oversubscribed. Why? Because there are too many computers, and those too many computers want to send too much traffic, too much information want to be exchanged. So at that time, the network is not able to deliver all those traffic. Here traffic means data, exchanging of data. So due to so many computers in the network is oversubscribed, and the network is not in a position to deliver all those traffic. So that is known as congestion. So it is also one of the biggest issues. Next, quality of service. Quality of service means improvement in the services. So initially, what is meant by communication? It is analog communication. So one person speaks and another person listens to him and he replies. So that one only. But due to the advancement in the computer networks, the quality of services improved. So it is able to telecast live videos, timelines of delivery matters, etc. So these are all competing demands. These competing demands are all quality of services, improvement in the services. Next, confidentiality. Confidentiality means the mechanism that provide defend against the threat of eavesdropping on communication is called confidentiality. So in communication, confidentiality plays a very important role. If two people are speaking, two people are talking, that is a sender and a receiver, the information between them should be confidential. Okay, no third person shouldn't listen to their conversation. Phone tapping. Do you listen that word? Phone tapping. Phone tapping means illegally listening to others' conversation. Okay, so if there is no confidentiality, if other person listens to our conversation, so what happens to our privacy? Okay, so here confidentiality plays a very important role, and the mechanism that avoids the threat of eavesdropping. Eavesdropping means a person secretly listening to conversation is known as eavesdropping. So eavesdropping threat is eliminated if the network is provided with confidentiality. Next, authentication. Generally, we get messages that your mobile number won some dollars. So please please send your account number, your details like that. Some fake messages are received by us. So there is no authentication for that messages. From where they are getting, from where we are receiving that messages, there is no authentication. Okay, so authentication is a mechanism for preventing someone from impersonating someone else is called authentication. If there is authentication, so from where the message is receiving, from what is the sender of that message, so that has to be authenticated. If it is not authenticated, there is no need for us to reply to those messages. So అందుకనే మనకి SMS బ్యాంక్ నుంచి వస్తూ ఉంటాయి. సో బ్యాంక్ వాళ్ళు ఎప్పుడు కూడా మీ అకౌంట్ నెంబర్స్ కానీ పాస్వర్డ్స్ కానీ ఎప్పుడు అడగరు, ఎవరికి రివీల్ చేయకండి అని చెప్తారు. Okay, so if anything, if the bank wants to convey us, it communicates to us authentically. Okay, if it is not authenticated, there is no need for us to answer that message. Next, the last issue is integrity. Integrity is a mechanism to prevent surreptitious changes to messages. So surreptitious changes means the changes we had some, for example, we send some message and that message is to be reached to our friend. Okay, so what is that message? Please withdraw 10,000 rupees from my account. That is the message. But if there is no security, if there is no integrity there, then what happens? Some person might hack that message, and instead of 10,000, he can change that message by keeping another zero. Okay, so keeping 10,000, in 10,000 how many zeros are there? 4 zeros. So here what happens, he is keeping another message, he is keeping another zero, so he changes the message, but we are not in a position to recognize the change in the message. Okay, So that is known as surreptitious change. Surreptitious change means that change, even though we send the message, we are not in a position to find out the change in the message. Okay, so your friend, what happens? He withdraws instead of 10,000, he withdraws 1 lakh rupees. Okay, so this is integrity. So integrity, authentication, and confidentiality. So these are deals with the security. So cryptography deals with these things. So these are the different issues in the network software. Next, the third subtopic in network software is connection oriented and connectionless services. Very, very important topic. So this topic, wherever you go in this syllabus, wherever you go any topic in the syllabus, so this topic always follows you. Connection oriented and connectionless services. In yesterday's class, I had already told you the lower layers provides services to the upper layers. The lower layers are the service providers and the upper layers are the service users. So here, each layer provides services, each lower layer provides to its upper layers 2 types of services. It offers 2 types of services. First one, connection oriented, and second one, connectionless oriented services. So first we discuss about connection oriented services. Okay. So the motivation or the inspiration for designing this connection oriented services is our telephone system. In telephone system, what we do, there are 3 phases in the telephone system. So first thing is we take a telephone, we dial the number. After dialing the number, we speak to the person, and after that we hang up the telephone. So these are the 3 processes that took place in general telephone system. So that process, that phases are utilized in connection oriented services also. Okay, so in connection oriented services, a connection is established between the communicating n entity using the service provided by the n-1 entity. So n minus, for example, here n is 2. So 2 minus 1. So layer 1 provides services to the layer 2 by establishing a connection between layer 1 and layer 2. So layer 1 provides services to layer 2 by establishing a connection. The service of connection oriented services undergo 3 different phases. There are 3 different phases in connection oriented services. First one is connection establishment phase, second one data transfer phase, and third one connection release phase. So if layer 1 wants to communicate with layer 2, what it does, it establishes the connection. After connection is established, it transfers data. After data is transferred, it releases the connection. These are the 3 important phases in connection oriented services. It would be better understood from this diagram. Please wait. Is it visible? Anyone? Vamsi?
మ్యామ్
Visible, Amma?
లేదు మ్యామ్, ఓన్లీ పిక్చర్ ఒక్కటే చూపిస్తుంది మ్యామ్. ఆ స్లైడ్ నుంచి
Slide connection oriented services and కనిపిస్తుందా?
లేదు మ్యామ్.
Now? Is it visible?
ఎస్ మ్యామ్.
Okay. So connection oriented service. So here is a sender and here is a receiver. So what is the first phase? The first phase is to establish a path for communication. Okay, so there are so many paths between the sender and the receiver. So here is one path. This circle is the switch or router. So this is one path and this is another path. So this is another path and here is another path. In this diagram, I had shown 4 paths. So first of all, what happens in connection oriented services means that the connection is established between the sender and the receiver. So connection establishment means choosing in which path the data from the sender to the receiver is to be communicated. Okay, so here we had chosen this path. So whatever the cursor I am moving here, so this is the path I had chosen. So connection is established. So in these 4 paths, I had chosen this path. So why should I choose this path? Here, the sender and the receiver communicates with each other. They negotiate with each other. Not only the sender and the receiver, here the subnet means the remaining network other than this sender and the receiver. That means the transmission lines, routers. These constitute subnet. So here the sender, the receiver and the subnet negotiate with each other and they select some path for transmission of the data. So in this way, they had decided to transfer the data in this path. Okay, so here connection is established. Then what is the second step? Data has to be transferred. Okay, so here what is the data? Here simply I had taken an example 101. So this binary is converted to the decimal equivalent 5, which is 5. So first here the least significant bit is 1. So 1 is, here I am showing with green color. So 1 travels through the established path from sender to the receiver. Okay, so here the receiver reaches the first bit 1. Okay, so again the second bit in the sender is 0. Already we had established a path. So in that path only the second bit 0 also travels. So it travels and it reaches the receiver. So the second bit is 0. Next, the most significant bit in the sender is 1. So already we had established a path. In the same path, the most significant bit 1 also travels and it reaches the receiver. And finally, this is our data. So whatever the data that is sent by the sender 5 is received by the receiver 5. So after that, what happens? The connection is released. There is no connection between the sender and the receiver. So first one, the path, the connection is established, then data transfer takes place, and after that, the connection is released in connection-oriented services. In most cases in connection-oriented services, what is the order of the transferring of data is preserved in the sender. So initially, first we send 1, so that is preserved. After that, we send 0. After that, we send 1. So in most connection-oriented services, the order in which the data is transferred is stored for future references. Okay, so this is about connection-oriented services. Next, what is connectionless oriented service? So connectionless service is a self-contained action and does not include establishment, maintenance, and releasing a connection. So this is quite contrast to connection-oriented service. In connection-oriented service, there are 3 phases: connection establishment, data transfer, and connection release. But in connectionless, there is none of those 3 steps, none of those 3 phases. So this connection services is the inspiration for this connectionless services is simple postal services. So in postal services, if the sender sends a letter, he simply writes the address on that letter. The postman simply looks at the address and he delivers it to the destination. So simply here also, there is no need for establishing any connection path. Okay, simply if the address is specified, it reaches the destination. Each message carries the full destination address and is treated and routed independently of all other messages. There is no prior negotiation between the sender and receiver. So in connection-oriented services, the sender and receiver negotiate with each other. But in connectionless service, there are no negotiations between the sender and the receiver. And the connectionless services does not even preserve the order of delivery of messages also. Okay, it doesn't preserve the order of messages also. So I will explain this by another figure. Are you able to see the picture? Hello? Vineet? మాకు అనిపిస్తుందా?
Yes, madam.
జూమ్ అయిపోయింది కదా బాగా. Okay? Is it visible? Is it visible?
Visible, madam.
Okay. So in connectionless service, again, here is also a sender and here is a receiver. So here also there are paths, different paths here. The data can transfer from sender to receiver in any of these paths. Okay. But here there is no establishment of connection between the sender and the receiver. So here also I had taken the same data 101. So one can travel in this direction, the blue colored line. So one can travel in this path and reaches the receiver, and 0 can travel in this path and reaches the receiver, and last bit one can travel in this direction and reaches the receiver. So a particular path is not established in this connectionless services. The data can transfer in any path. So it can change its mind in between and changes its path. Nothing, no problem. So here, finally, ultimately the data is received to the receiver. There is no connection establishment phase. There is only data transfer phase is there. Just data transfers from the sender to the receiver. Okay. Next. So these are the 6 different types of services offered by connection-oriented and connectionless services. So connection-oriented offers 3 services and connectionless offers 3 services. So we will discuss about it. So connection-oriented. Connection-oriented offers 3 services. In that, first one is reliable message stream. Reliable message stream. What is meant by reliable? Reliable means we can trust. Okay, so for example, the sender connection oriented kapatti, there is a connection is established between the sender and the receiver. Okay, now the data is transferring from the sender. Connection is established and the sender is sending the data. Is that any guarantee, 100% guarantee that the receiver received the message? how can you know that the receiver received the message? ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇప్పుడు మనం వాట్సాప్ చూడండి, మనం ఒక మెసేజ్ పంపించాం వాట్సాప్ లో. మనం పంపించిన మెసేజ్ అవతల అవతల రిసీవ్ చేసుకున్న వాళ్ళు చదివారా లేదా అనేది మనకి అక్నాలెడ్జ్ అవుతుందా లేదా? సో డెలివరీ అయితే కనుక 2 టిక్ మార్క్స్, వైట్ కలర్ టిక్ మార్క్స్ కనిపిస్తాయి. ఒకవేళ చదివితే కనుక రీడ్ చేస్తే కనుక మనకి బ్లూ కలర్ 2 టిక్ మార్క్స్ కనిపిస్తాయి. సో వాట్ ఈస్ దట్? దట్ ఈస్ అన్ అక్నాలెడ్జ్మెంట్. సో ఈవెన్ దో the connection is established, there is no guarantee that whatever the data sent by the sender receives the receiver. Okay, so if the data is received by the receiver, then the receiver has to send an acknowledgement. The receiver has to send an acknowledgement. Okay, so if it సో కొంతమందికి ఎగ్జామ్ ఉందంటున్నారు. ఎగ్జామ్ ఉన్న వాళ్ళు మీటింగ్ లీవ్ అయిపోండి అమ్మా. ఎగ్జామ్ ఉన్న వాళ్ళు మీటింగ్ లీవ్ అయిపోండి. ఇంకా 10 minutes లో అయిపోతుంది క్లాస్. నో ప్రాబ్లం. ఓకే, సో రిలయబుల్ మీన్స్, రిలయబుల్ అని ఎప్పుడు చెప్తామంటే ద కమ్యూనికేషన్ ఇస్ సెట్ టు బి రిలయబుల్ వెన్ ద రిసీవర్ సెండ్స్ an acknowledgement. If the receiver sends an acknowledgement that the data is properly reached to the receiver. Okay, so next thing is reliable byte stream. So this is also reliable. Reliable means here is also there, acknowledgement is there. But there is some difference between the message stream and the byte stream. So what is the difference between the message stream and byte stream? So for that, again, I will show one more diagram. So look at this diagram. I am explaining the difference between reliable message stream and reliable byte stream. What is meant by reliable message stream? Here, reliable, why it is reliable? Because the receiver sends an acknowledgement. That's why it is reliable. Then message stream. So here in the message stream, the message has to be provided with some boundaries. Listen carefully, boundaries. Boundaries means from where the data is started, from where the data will be ended. Okay, that is very important in message stream. For example, if to 1024 bytes has to be transferred by the sender. Okay, so here no problem, the receiver said that I had received 1024 bytes. But here the 1024 bytes sent by the receiver are distinctly, separately 1024 bytes are to be received. If these two are combined and 2048 bytes is received, then it is not a message stream. Then it is not used as a message stream. So there should be boundaries from where it is started. 1024 byte and another 1024 byte, two separate bytes. Boundaries are to be specified. Okay, they should not be joined and they should not be get as a single one 2048 bytes one. So it doesn't accept in message streaming service. Okay, for example, I had written a book. So there are different chapters in that book. So the typewriter has to type that data, that he has to convert it into hard copies and he has to take printout of that. So if I didn't specify the boundaries, the first chapter is from this page to this page, the second chapter starts from this page to this page, I have to specify that one. If I didn't specify that one, then it will become confused. It will become overlapped. So in connection-oriented services, it offers 3 services. First one, reliable message stream. Reliable because the sender gives acknowledgement and the message stream gives boundaries. Okay. Example, sequence of pages. Next, reliable byte stream. So reliable byte stream means reliable byte stream. Reliable byte stream means here you are sending to 1024 bytes sent by the sender. The receiver can receive those 1024 bytes as 1024 bytes or 2048 bytes. It can mix those 1024 bytes into single 2048 bytes or 2048 single byte, 1 byte. So it can receive in any type. So there are no need for boundaries. Okay, there is no need for boundaries. The data can be transferred in any way. That is enough. Okay, so that is reliable byte stream. So reliable byte stream means the receiver gives the acknowledgement, but the byte stream does not require any boundaries. Example, movie download. Okay, so for movie downloading, we doesn't require any boundaries. Okay, so that is the example of movie download. Next, in connection-oriented services, the another service provided is unreliable connection. So unreliable connection means voice over IP. So I am speaking to you on telephone. Okay, so you doesn't give me acknowledgement that I am hearing. So you are replying to my answer. That is enough. There is no need to give any acknowledgement. So that is unreliable connection. That is voice over IP. Next, connectionless services. So in connectionless services, unreliable connection is there. Unreliable datagram. Unreliable datagram means electronic junk mail. So we are getting some mail. There is no connection establishment. So that is connectionless. Unreliable means because it is a junk mail with the receiver, there is no need for the receiver to give the acknowledgement because the junk mail is for some promotion purposes. Okay. Next, acknowledged datagram. For example is registered mail. If we get some registered mail, when we receive that registered mail, we have to give the signature to the postman that we have received that mail. Okay, so that is acknowledged. Next, request reply. So that is database query. So request reply. There is no need to give acknowledgement. So for I am asking the server to give some information. The receiver responds to our request and gives message to us. So we send the request and we get the reply. There is no need of acknowledgement. That is database query. So these are the 6 different types of services offered by network architecture. So with this, I am concluding the class. Thank you.